Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! So, I'm Indian, and so are all my friends. But we live in Chicago. A few years ago, me and another friend of mine, let's call her R, planned to go to a cafe thingy and then my other friends could pick us up. So I was telling R a story, and I felt a little uncomfortable because there was an old white lady, Karen, that was very obviously eavesdropping, so I switched to Hindi and continued. I was so uncomfortable because I could see that the woman was glaring at me, but I ignored her. Then, a few minutes later, the waiter came up to our table and said, "Excuse me, that customer feels uncomfortable and wants you to speak English. Sorry for the inconvenience." I was kinda offended, so I told her, "I'm sorry. Can you tell her that the language that I speak is my choice?" The waiter was pretty nice. She just said that she respects my decision and she left. After I continued, I saw that Karen called the waiter over again, and that the waiter was explaining something to her, probably what I said. Well, she got mad. I wish I took a photo of her face because she looked crazy. She then surprised me and started screaming and like having a fit. I remember just thinking, man, if my mother was here, she would get slapped here so hard right now. The waiters and people told her to leave and she did after like 5 minutes of screaming. I thought it was over, but oh no, this story isn't over yet. So after we finished eating, we left the shop and she was still sitting outside on a benchy thing next to the cafe. Keep in mind it had been about 20 minutes since she got kicked out. When Karen saw me, she got up and went ballistic. She said lots of insults and stuff that I don't remember that well. One thing she said was, "Stop being such a witch." Karen had like a steel bottle that she was holding, and she literally just started hitting me with the metal bottle and lunging at me. R tried to get her off me and got hit really hard a few times in the head by the ballistic grandma and like fell and sat down on the pavement. Some people who were passing by got involved and tried to calm down Karen, but she kept screaming. Then my guy friends showed up. Now let me tell you that those two are huge and look really scary. When Karen saw them, she stopped trying to reach me and someone called the cops. And they showed up after like 10 minutes. My guy friends didn't let Karen leave. When the police came, she started crying and told them that I attacked her. Everyone came to my defense, of course, and told the truth, and they also got our medical exam. Needless to say, R and her parents are pressing charges. Till this day, I still can't believe how a human could be that stupid and get that mad for someone speaking their own language. How is it even possible to be that entitled? God, some old white people are on a different level of craziness. Hey guys, it's Crown. Hope you're doing well. Today, I started a brand new channel called That One Story. It'll mostly include stories coming from different subreddits, but will definitely include some entitled people getting their comeuppance. I'll leave the link in the description below, so please subscribe to the channel to listen to the latest stories, cause I'll make sure to post videos on a daily basis. Thank you and have a great day. So this was a while back. People involved include me, my old manager, and the two customers. 2 black women, a mother and a daughter. I work in a deli and I'm 20 years old. So there was a woman that I was making a sandwich for. I'll call her customer A, an older butch white woman. The 2 other ladies were waiting in line. Customer A asks me to cut some meat for her, just some ham. I tell her I can, and tell the 2 customers behind her that I'll be right back and I will help them after I help the first customer. Everyone else who was working was busy that day. So I look over and see the old woman crying and the daughter yelling. She's yelling about how I made her mother cry, how I disrespected her, and so on. How they have been disrespected all of their life and they are tired of this subpar treatment. The daughter then called me a fat witch. I'm like a size 12. And my manager began to console them, giving them free fried chicken and basically attempting to placate them. My manager did not defend me at all to them. By the way, not that I expected that, just a detail. Apparently the daughter said I was being racist because I helped the first woman before them, instead of stopping service to the first woman to help them. So my manager called me to the back to have a discussion with me, and I explained what had happened. She then went on a super racist rant about black people, which is awkward since I'm half black myself. And then all of my co-workers chimed in and started parroting what she was saying, which was even more awkward. Later on, that manager got fired for stealing from the store months later and got what she deserved. So I work in a technical theater as an assistant stage manager. There are a couple of theaters in the area, but the tech community is rather small, so we all know each other. I work for a smaller theater, but I know a few people who work at the largest theater that hosts the traveling Broadway shows. These shows are really popular and hard to get the tickets for if you aren't a season ticket holder. Tickets are normally about $150 for an individual show, but can go up significantly if they know the show is going to be popular. The husband of one of the directors that I work with is on the board of the theater and sometimes can score good seats at a discounted rate. This season, Aladdin is coming to town, a show my future mother-in-law has been dying to see. She asked me if I could possibly get her and a friend a seat so they could go see it. I called in a favor with my director and she managed to get 2 prime seats. Since her husband is on the board, she gets a discount, so the tickets ended up only being $75 for the 2 seats. I reserved them in my name with the understanding that my future mother-in-law will pay for the tickets. Fast forward a couple of weeks and my mother-in-law invites me and my fiancé over for dinner. Dinner goes well and I end up in a conversation with her and my future sister-in-law about housework. I don't know why. My future sister-in-law is a teacher and she's married to an accountant, so she said that her and her husband tried to split the chores 50-50. My mother-in-law thought that this was fine and asked how fiancé and I would do it. We don't currently live together. I said probably the same, 50-50. Sister-in-law agreed, but mother-in-law gave me the stink eye. I asked if there was something wrong and she said, "Well, fiancé works full-time and you don't. So I don't see how that's fair." I told her that I do work full-time, just not at a 9-to-5 like fiancé. And she then laughed at me and said that what I did wasn't real work, and that it was just a silly side gig, and that maybe if I got a real job, I would know what it's like to really work. Then she changed the subject. This pissed me off because I'm very proud of the work I do. It may not be a 9-to-5, but I love my job. It is my dream job and I do make enough to cover my expenses. It actually takes a certain amount of skill to properly stage manage a full-scale production. So enter pettiness. I called up the box office for the large theater and told them to cancel the tickets. They were in my name, so they gladly canceled them. I then texted my future mother-in-law and told her if she thinks my job isn't real, then the side perks aren't real as well. So the tickets were cancelled. I then shut off my phone. The next day when I turn on my phone, I see several missed calls and about a dozen texts from my future mother-in-law. She's fuming because her friend is coming into town specifically to see this play. I called back and told her she might still be able to get seats if she called the box office. She ended up getting seats, but they cost her $150 each, and they weren't as good. Hopefully she's learned not to insult someone and still expect to benefit from them. This is a story about my aunt and her entitled brat. She was always a bit eccentric, but she completely lost her marbles once she had her first kid a few years ago. She had him pretty late at 39, and her purse was pretty traumatic. I suspect she suffers from undiagnosed postpartum depression, but I'm not any kind of professional, so I can't know for sure. A little family dynamic context. I have two older sisters and our parents divorced about 16 years ago when I was 8. My sisters were 12 and 17, and we don't have any contact with our father because he's not a very nice man. This aunt is his younger sister. My paternal grandma had always perpetuated this weird dynamic of golden child/scapegoat, and everyone on that side of the family just followed it. No questions asked. My oldest sister was a golden grandchild, and my middle sister was a scapegoat. I was mostly ignored, but that also brought in its own issues. They treated my middle sister terribly when she was a teenager, making up terrible things about her and how my mom was doing a bad job raising her. The things they said were pretty heinous, and I honestly don't want to repeat them. This made my sister call out this behavior and she was ostracized for it for years. Then my sister got married to a man who does pretty well for himself and moved overseas. And suddenly, she was the favorite grandchild. My aunt had her kid 3 years ago. She's full on yummy mommy, wanted a natural purse, diffuses essential oils all the time and so on. She also had a very good career beforehand and was respected as an expert in her field. Anyway, my sister is living her life, building a career of her own in this country that's about 16 hours of flight away, living her best married life. My aunt called her one day when the kid was about 6 months old and tried to get her to move back to our country to be a nanny for her for a year so my aunt can go back to her career. She even offered to pay her. She harassed my sister for weeks until she started to ignore her messages and calls, and my aunt gave up later. Other requests my aunt had for my sister: buy her kid one of those toddler-sized battery-powered cars and bring it over here. On the plane, she didn't offer to pay for that. Buy some purebred puppy and fly it out here. She won't be paying for that either. She even calls my sister at ungodly hours because she forgets that time zones are a thing, just to chat about absolutely nothing. I'm really glad that everyone ignores me and I'm currently getting the silent treatment for not calling often enough, but I really feel for my sister. I had some bad neighbors across the street from me. Nothing too serious, just irritating. They would regularly park, plug in or partially plug in driveways. Their yard was always a mess. They let their dog run around the neighborhood even though they had a fenced backyard. So everyone had doggy landmines in their yards. And dog pee on the car tires. Then came the day they started moving out. Happy dance. They moved over a 2-month period where they vacated the house after about 3 weeks of moving, but kept coming back for the rest of their stuff in the following weeks. Each time they'd move some things they wanted and leave a pile of stuff they didn't want in a driveway to be hauled to the dump on a later day. I had some junk in my basement that I had been meaning to haul to the dump, so one night I took it across the street and added to their pile in the driveway. I loved watching the reaction when they found the extra junk. I figured that dump charges equaled my time picking up dog bombs. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.